Today, we made a declaration in the name of our mokopuna that we would no longer allow the assumption of this parliament to have superiority or sovereignty over Te Iwi Māori.
That's pretty much where we got up to yesterday. So this was a declaration from Waititi saying that the Parliament no longer has sovereignty over Maori, so they are now going to act and operate as a independent body of people in New Zealand, disconnected from our Parliament, which is treason.
Now let's look at a Kawanatanga space. We now make up 1 million people.
Kawanatanga space says, remember Kawanatanga was sovereignty. He says, what's it going to look like when Maori are viewed in this country as a sovereign group of people? This is like a dual parliament, country split in two, with Maori doing their own thing, everybody else doing their own thing. He says, what's that going to look like?
1 in 5 people here in Aotearoa are Māori.
He says 1 in 5 people are Maori. That's because the statistics department in New Zealand has been rigged by activists and infiltrated by activists, and they are playing around with the stats. Well, here's a really interesting analysis. Here are the facts. This is from The Centrist, which is a brilliant online newspaper that's recently been formed in New Zealand. And Ian Wishart did this story. Have Asian New Zealanders just overtaken Maori New Zealanders in the population? Then he says, our call, the Asian population, has just reached 994,672, pushing Maori at 978,246 into third place for the first time. So Waititi's not being honest about being 1 million people.
I am 1 in 1 million. You get that one, Matt Ducey? Like that one, you smiled. I am 1 in 1 million. I am 20% of this country. I expect nothing less than 20% of the total budget in this country.
Okay, now, Maori had a huge big drive. Remember in 1974, the law used to be that to be a Maori, to be qualified as a Maori, you had to have 50% Maori blood and be able to prove it. And then in 1974, the law was changed, and to be a Maori, you just had to identify as a Maori. In other words, just walk in and say you're a Maori. And a lot of Europeans kind of joined in and said, oh, I'm a Maori, because it was trendy and it was, part of the religious Maori experience. And then people with even 1/500th Maori identified as a Maori. So the number of Maoris in the country has gone up. So here's the Maori Affairs Amendment Act 1974. It says, whereas it is desirable that official recognition be given to the significance of the Maori language as the ancestral tongue of that part of the population of New Zealand of Maori descent, and that the present restriction in the legal application of the term Maori to persons of more than a fixed degree of Maori blood should be relaxed. So they said in this act in 1974, we're just going to relax the Maori definition. It used to be 50% or more blood. And there's down below that is the actual wording. Maori means a person of the Maori race of New Zealand and includes any descendants of such a person. Muriel Newman from the NZCPR, she comments on these changes and what's happened to them. She also points out that Maori are now iwi are heavily involved in the statistics department in New Zealand. She says the result of that law change in 1974 is a significant increase in the number of Maori, while 723,051 respondents indicated Maori descent in the census. That's the 2023 census. After reassessment, a further 255,195 were added, leading to a total of 978,246, and the claim that almost 1 million New Zealanders are Maori. Now that is because iwi are fiddling around with the statistics in the background of New Zealand. It's corrupt. All of this raises, says Muriel, serious ethical questions for the new government. Should iwi leaders be involved in the collection and analysis of personal data when they have a significant vested interest in the outcome of the census? Well, it's a no-brainer. No, they shouldn't be involved, go anywhere near. Iwi shouldn't be going anywhere near these statistics, because depending on the number of Maori in the country, big decisions are made about how much money they get. See, the whole system is now corrupt.
That's what I expect in a Kawanatanga space. Not only that, on top of, if I make up 50% of the male prison population, then Te Iwi Māori should receive 50% of that budget.
Okay, this is a very interesting concept, isn't it? So he's saying that, okay, because we've got 50% of the 52% of the people in prison are Maori, we should have 50% of the budget. Well, let's say, just follow that through. Say it's $100 million. I'm not sure what it is. That'd be a lot more than that to look after 10,000 prisoners, and 52% of those are Maori. Well, that's presuming then that he's going to look after the 52% Maori prisoners, take them away and do something with them. Probably just release them and then keep all the money. But how's this going to work? He hasn't thought this through. By the way, the whole notion of a dual government and a New Zealand being split in two and having Maori indigenous sovereignty and then everybody else doing their own thing is completely... I mean, really, it's laughable, isn't it? Some of you remember what former Labour Prime Minister David Lange said. He said this: did Queen Victoria for a moment think of forming a partnership with a number of signatures and a number of thumbprints and 500 people? Queen Victoria was not that sort of person. We can have a democratic form of government or we can have indigenous sovereignty. They can't coexist and we can't have them both. Well said, David. If only today's politicians, Luxon Co., would have the same opinion and step in and do something about it. But they're not going to do that. They're not doing that. They don't have the spine of David Lange. So well done, David. There's the reference. You see, this is just an impossible concept, but Waititi thinks it's going to be great. No, Rawiri.
If I make up 64% of the female prison population, I deserve that proportion of the budget.
Okay, same with 64% of women who are in prison are Maori. So he wants that much money that it costs to keep all of them in prison and all the fees associated with them. He wants that as well. No plan about what he'd do with those prisoners, those 64% women prisoners, Maori prisoners in prison. He doesn't know what he's going to do with them.
If Māori tamariki make up 80% of oranga tamariki, I deserve that proportion of the budget.
He wants all the money for that as well. Well, isn't it interesting that such a huge proportion of the people in Tamariki are all Maori? Why is that? You can answer that yourself.
This is what a budget should look like for Māori in the Kāwanatanga space.
So what he's saying, interpreting that, he's saying that's what it would look like for Maori if they were a sovereign group of people viewed as a sovereign state within New Zealand. But the interesting thing is that over the years that I've been following this and tracking all this, Maori have never come up with any solutions about what to do about the huge number of Maori, both male and female, who are in prison, the huge number of children who are under state care from Maori houses. There's no solutions about that being offered, no real solutions other than just give us more money. Now, I have written what I believe is a solution for Maori. It's in the description of this video. So I'd like you to go and have a look at that and read that, because not even the politicians are giving a solution for Maori, except they keep on harping on about better housing, better wages, better living conditions, lowering the cost of living, and so on and on it goes. But they're not actually they're not solutions. They are just pruning the tree. What about going down to the root? What is the root of Maori problems? Well, I actually detail that in the paper that you can read in the description.
We're all taxpayers. We're all ratepayers.
Okay, so he's saying that to justify this, he says we're all taxpayers and we're all ratepayers. The actual facts are that Maori don't contribute as much tax to the tax take as everybody else. In fact, in Twisting the Treaty, the book, somebody did an analysis of this, and Maori are only just... Another group of statistics say that Maori are actually costing the country. In other words, the cost of keeping Maori is more than Maori are contributing to tax. In the book Twisting the Treaty, it says this: Maori draw disproportionately more welfare. Page 270, it says, nevertheless, Maori continue to draw disproportionately more welfare. Te Puni Kokori advised the incoming Minister of Maori Affairs in December 2011 that welfare payments to Maori exceeded tax paid by Maori. Now, that was 2011, but I can tell you that the amount of money given to Maori between 2011 and 2024 has really ramped up a lot. So that assessment would still apply today for sure. And that's a fact. A lot of Maori corporations don't pay any tax at all. And if you go onto the ARD website, businesses are only paying 17% tax, everybody else is paying 28%. So we are already carrying Maori in this country with tax. A lot of Maori don't pay rates on their properties, so we're carrying them there as well. So he's about to say that because we pay tax and because we pay rates, this is all going to be good. But no, you don't actually give enough money, tax, Maori don't pay enough tax in this country to warrant giving you anything, because at best you'll just break even. As much tax coming in as there is going out for you. What Rawiri doesn't seem to realise is that our taxes pay for all public services. Even if Maori were given all the money that it takes to look after Maori male prisoners, Maori female prisoners, and all the Maori children needing state care, who's going to pay for all the roads, the infrastructure, the repairs, the maintenance, police, nurses, hospitals, schools, conservation estates and so on? Who's going to pay for all that? Maori use and enjoy all these services, don't they? He's not thought this through. We can presume that he thinks it would be right for non-Maori to pay for these things while Maori are off doing their own thing. That would be Waititi's thought about this.
And remember that this government continues to make its funds and its money and its ability to have a budget on stolen Maori land, assets and resources.
Usual stuff. This is all the land was stolen from us. No, 92% of Maori land was actually sold. Some was confiscated, but that was because of Maori rebellion and treason. They were warned by the government that if they started to rebel against the treaty, breach the treaty, that they would be punished, and they'd be punished with the taking of land, because that's all you could take from them. They had nothing else. And so they were warned. They rejected those warnings and they went ahead with their treason and their rebellion, and that's what happened. Now, there were some excesses of what the government did at the time, and they have been compensated for. Full and final settlements were reached in 1960, but on and on it goes. And this mantra that all our land was stolen is simply the biggest porky in Maoridom that's ever been told, and it's simply not true. So let's keep going.
This is what your budget should look like.
Okay, what I want you to get from today's video are a number of things. One is that the call by activist Maori to form a separate government is treason, and ought to be viewed this way by the current government, for this is what it truly is. Activist Maori show no understanding about what taxes are for and how they are to be distributed. Maori use more tax than they pay in taxes. Maori corporations pay little or no tax. Maori are disproportionately overrepresented in our prisons, both male and female, and in the number of children in state care. David Lange warned that we can either have democracy or indigenous sovereignty. We can't have both. That was very, very wise advice. The present government is turning a blind eye, hoping this situation will go away. It won't go away. They must deal with it now, not later. As long as they turn a blind eye, it's certain to progress and gets much, much worse. The logical conclusion is civil war. It's a sad thing to say that, but what else can happen in this situation? It's civil war. Okay, folks, that's enough for today. Please like the video, share it, get the information out everywhere. We're making fantastic progress, so thank you for all your help. I'll finish off this video tomorrow.
Please share this video with everyone everywhere. The mainstream media should be reporting on the issues I am raising in these videos, but they're not. Why aren't they? Well, they're corrupt. Why are they corrupt? They are collaborating with Maori activists, there's no doubt about that. In the final analysis, the people of New Zealand, that's us, have ultimate power, not the politicians. Did you know that? The people can kick out the people in power and they can put them into power. How are we going to do that? Well, awareness is the key to change. If enough people in New Zealand become aware of the issues I am raising, we can save this beautiful country. So share these videos everywhere so that come the next election, we can vote the right people in and kick out the people who are destroying New Zealand.